Right now in Sudan, anarchist comrades are organizing in the middle of a war, repression, and displacement. The anarchist group in Sudan is building mutual aid, grassroots committees, and political education for survival and liberation. And they need our support. You can stand with them by making a one-time donation, holding your own fundraiser and sending the funds to the Open Collective, Support Sudanese Comrades, link in bio, or become a monthly supporter at that same Open Collective link. Every contribution strengthens their ability to keep resisting and caring for their people. Solidarity means action. Tap the link in our bio or in the show notes and support the anarchist group in Sudan today.
Hey everyone, we're excited to invite you to join us on Patreon. By supporting us, you'll be helping us keep the podcast going and make it possible for us to continue sharing Black radical ideas and history. On Patreon, you'll get exclusive access to reading episodes, where we break down important texts as well as early access to our guest interviews. Your support also helps us create more educational resources, like a website that will include educational modules about our episode topics and potential live streams. If you want to learn more and support the podcast, visit patreon.com/thedugoutpod. Every contribution makes a difference.
Hello, and welcome to the Dugout. Nearing the end of season 2, you are getting the treat of the Dugout on Dugout action. Oh my gosh, we're interviewing each other. It's exciting. There's sweat, there's tears, there's laughs, there's weed, there's ash. What will be discovered? There's things yet unknown. Prince has just interviewed me. Gracious experience, and now it is time for Prince to be interviewed. This is going to be a wonderful episode, and Prince gassed me the fuck up at the beginning of their episode, so I thought I'm going to pull something out of the drawer. Something Prince didn't know before this interview is that a goal of mine during Black August was to write you a letter. I never finished writing that letter. So I'm going to read, Dear Prince, thank you. I'm grateful to be able to be a part of your traveling circus of a journey. The party never ends with you. And in that, I learn how to value my moments in ways unknown to me before. I haven't wanted something so bad as an adult as to work with you, to nourish a part of the world that can never be allowed to die. To cherish and reflect over my movements with you is a continual process of education that I will never sacrifice, but always hold sacred. Memory is very important to me. The conception of perception and my relation to identity and sanity, and what I understand is a collection of my will to know and explore things that are not currently in my own conception of reality. And to be an intentional part of that journey for you is an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
You'll be talking a lot. You got a lot of stuff out there. And one issue of that is that you're always growing. And one thing I love about this interview is that when it comes out, it's going to be the most up to date. So,
Oh, yeah.
who are you?
I am a human being that is usually making art to process grief, cynicism, the meaning of Black culture. My family's Jamaican. That's really important to me. I'm queer. That's really important to me. I love writing and literature and books and film. And I believe in Black liberation and revolutionary struggle and caring enough about history to realize that you're a part of it. And I'm trying to find my husband in the next 5 years. Yeah. I just made my first Halloween costume ever, really, and that was fun. Did I say I'm a writer?
Well, you are.
I am a writer. I'm also a writer. Oh, yeah, I'd mentioned. But yeah, I'm also a writer, and I'm working on like some books right now. And yeah, I feel like writing is one of the first things I ever learned to love in life, like something that was mine. And I feel like art in different ways is me kind of looking for that again and again.
It's also something that you started in a very disciplined way at a pretty young age. what's a young you like? This question I definitely stole from you and added it to the whole it's in the repertoire for every interview now.
Yes, it's such a good question. Young me was very shy, very affectionate with family. I hated having to introduce myself to new people when I was a little kid. I really liked reading. I really liked books about like bugs and dinosaurs. I remember when I was really little, I had a pair of like denim overalls that I really loved, and I would climb the dresser to try to get into the closet to get it. My mom would be like, "Get down from there." In a lot of ways, I remember people perceiving me as like a crybaby because sometimes I'd just cry and I didn't know why. And yeah, and I think I was just like very into books. Like now when I go to Jamaica and I see family or people that knew me a lot as a kid, they're like, "You were always in the corner reading." I'm like, "Damn, was it that much?" When I was little, sometimes people were like adults were a lot. Like sometimes I'm like, this is a lot of energy. Like especially men, I'd be like, oh my God. So reading was, good help.
You took all that. You were doing writing camps as a adolescent, and eventually through college as a young admission into the college scene. What do you feel like having that sense of freedom, but also youth? What do you feel like your relation was to authority and people older than you, while also finding yourself in that scene? Do you feel adultified?
Like in university?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think in some ways, yes. I mean, I think before college, I accepted a lot of the academic pressure I got because it's kind of like you're up in the hood and your parents are immigrants and they're like, you're going to go to fucking college or you're going to do good at school. Are you fucking kidding me? And it's like this whole thing and then it becomes psychological. So I was very much invested in just trying to be the best student I could because I saw it as like my role as like a son. And then I think being gay and going through all of that shit really shook up what I thought of like certain forms of authority, which I think at a certain age, maybe like 11, 12, I learned people who try to tell you who you are without really caring about whatever violences you've been through. Take that in as many ways as you want. It's bullshit. And that is one of the ways that I think authority operates in our world. And it helped me to learn that. And I got to college and I mean, I wanted to get out of the house. I was 17. Thank fucking God I went to a 3-year high school. Because if I had another year at home, I don't know where I would have been mentally by the time I went to college. Like maybe I would have crashed out. I don't know. And so for me, college and being there, it was both this weird daydream where I'm like, wow, this is how white people are. And realizing, oh, there's this way that you come of age that, of course, I wanted to have from college, but it was kind of like also something I remember watching a lot on TV. Disney Channel was always like middle class kids. Like you never watch any TV shows about poor black kids or POC kids, or like maybe you do, but it's like Everybody Hates Chris. It's like a comedy, but it's not for kids. Or I don't know, basically getting to college, it was both me being an adult, but it's university. Like I was there on scholarships mostly and then loans. And so it was the real world, but it also wasn't the real world. But I think the adultifying part of it, I had all these friends in school who maybe had different issues with their parents, but I didn't really know anyone, or not many people that had dealt with their parents in the way that I had. So for me, college, I was just like, I need to be there for myself emotionally in a way that's different than living at home with a family that you feel is emotionally unavailable. College was an interesting time. I was ready to really explore and try to figure out all these different versions of myself. And it's what I needed, I think.
And you've crafted yourself apart and between many communities since then. One of your big accolades from some of those eras, I mean, I guess this is post-college, is Two Woke Minds. Is that your start on YouTube, or were you doing stuff before?
I did do YouTube before.
Oh, what was that?
I had a YouTube channel that I started
in 2017, February. Is that your personal one, or you had another one?
Oh, no, we go way back. Oh, so I mean, in my freshman year of college, which was 2011, I started a YouTube channel that was my own because I was really into Community Channel, this Asian girl that does like skit episodes where it's like 10 minutes and it's like presenting some kind of quirky idea and then she acts out different characters in relation to it. And so I was really into that and I tried to do that with my webcam on my computer. And so I did a few videos like that and I think I was editing it, whatever fucking
So
stuff.
you're doing like sketch comedy?
Sort of. Yeah.
Like
Sort of.
little sketch vignettes?
Yeah. And
It's like on theme, like kind of improv though?
yeah, like one of them was a fake commercial about some hotline or something. I can't remember. And then halfway through that year, I can't remember where I found these people, but I connected with this other YouTuber who is gay and black, and he started this channel called Five Gays, and we each had a day of the week where we'd all respond to the same prompt. And so it was like a content group, a YouTube group. And I probably did that for a good 5 months. And I remember kind of having a crush on one of the guys in the group. Oh, yeah. And then I remember that year I got into photography. So I tried to like film this vlog when I went to Washington, D.C. for a trip. And then after that, I don't really know if I did anything sustained until 2016. Yeah, 2016 with Two Woke Minds.
Yeah, and now, in the year of our Lord 2025, you're standing here with 53.6 thousand subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
8 years on that channel. That is dedicated. And that's
When you say 8 like that, I'm like, oh, Lord, don't listen out loud. But yeah, no. And it wasn't 8 years of sustained work being.
Yeah, so what is your journey from that? What was Prince Shakur, the YouTube channel, like in the beginning to where it is now?
In the beginning, I started doing it after Two Woke Minds ended. And I think I was in a sort of very confused place post-college, and I usually try something new during those periods of time. I think I started doing it because I knew I was going to keep traveling, and I kind of got used to documenting traveling, and that seemed really helpful, and I liked watching travel vlogs. And so I remember when I went to France in 2018, I remember by then I started doing travel videos or wanting to make videos. And oh yeah, I did like a 23andMe video. So I think basically doing Two of Mine's kind of translated to me sort of making stuff for my own channel, and then Two of Mine's ended and I kept trying at it. But I was mostly writing, like being freelance. And so I think I maybe did a video every 2 months or every 3 months or something. Oh yeah. And then when I was in Seattle, I remember I tried to do like fashion lookbook videos. Oh my God, I'm forgetting different things. Oh yeah. And so I think in the beginning it was me kind of trying to mimic other things that I saw or liked. Like I was trying to develop a sense of style. I was into travel, and so I did watch that stuff, but yeah, I don't think I knew what having a certain execution was like until Two Woke Minds. And then after that, I think I started wanting to document the writing process a little bit. So I started doing writing videos, and like the whole time I was doing this channel, I was also just writing. And writing is different because you need to be really passionate about it, and you put it out into the world kind of not expecting anyone to care or not like in like a flashy way, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of like you just keep doing it again and again, and you find the meaning out of it. But with videos and social media, you of course need to be the engine, but then the feedback is an inherent part of the process. And I feel like, I don't know, I was just kind of doing YouTube because I was like, fuck it. I mean, might as well have a few different eggs in different baskets. And I sometimes pursue things because I want to eventually be a version of myself that can be good at that thing. I just think over time, especially when I got to selling my memoir, it felt really important to me to document that process and to really have a bunch of videos as a time capsule, which meant a lot to me. And I think that also was a sort of engine that helped me keep experimenting. So I don't know, it is interesting to think about like why I did certain things, or yeah, and then I moved to New York and it felt beautiful to document some of the things I was experiencing there in certain ways, but I also had way less time. So it is interesting, like juggling all these different things, and then it's just in the background, and I'm like, oh, it actually kind of turned into something.
What do you feel like made it crystallize as like a steady focus in your creative vision?
I admire people that care about video and cinema and have a capacity around that because I do think having the ability to show these visual representations of life are really interesting to me. And so one, I admire that in terms of like film and video. And I think with YouTube, I know that I'm decent at talking to a camera. And part of my creative thing is like, hey, if you're already kind of okay at something, why not use your advantage? And so there's that. I also just believe in like the artist life. You can have things that you really want to work out, but it's always good to have other things that you're kind of working on in the background. If I think of over the things I've done over the years, I also like did a blog for like 2 years called Decolonize the Mind. I also did another podcast before this, and like those things didn't last for forever, but those were all kind of experiments to see if I could like strike it big, if that makes sense. And I do also just believe in experimentation. And I think it's stayed consistent over time just because I also love YouTube. Like I think it's a fascinating platform. There's a lot you can learn. It's a reflection of you when you look at someone's YouTube page based on if they subscribe to things versus not. Like when I go on your YouTube, I'm like, you're a fucking weirdo. And same with all of my friends. And I love it. It's such proof.
The Dugout YouTube is strange.
Yeah, I mean, we added the what's that one conspiracy theorist on there, who talk about so-called slavery. Yeah, I don't know. I guess also times in my life where I am doing something new or dramatic, it is a really helpful way to process, and so I don't ever see that changing for me. I find it kind of a comforting thing to do. Archiving my life, like being able to look back at it. Even videos from like 2 years ago, I'm like, oh my God, I kind of forgot what certain moments felt like. And then suddenly I'm back on that street.
How do you feel like your technical ability over the years has enhanced your output to match the visions that you have, or even help you make and create different scenes when you're editing?
Ooh, that's a good question. Sometimes getting new equipment helps you push yourself. And even if it doesn't help you push yourself, it gives you the possibility to upgrade your skill set. That's something that's been important over time. I also think like switching to DaVinci Resolve and kind of learning how I edit and organize things on a new program, like kind of creating a new workflow has been really helpful. Also think on a technical level, like knowing how to organize things. Like I think doing freelance journalism for like 7 years really taught me how to like, you organize your pitches and you got to know who you sent it to. And then you label these things this way, and doing certain things made a lot of the work easier. And so I think all of those things have helped me over time. And then I think just technical stuff, like I am trying to get better at using the nicer camera that I have. And that's been a journey this year, like being more intentional with trying to use it more and understanding in what situations I prefer to use it and why it's beautiful for certain things. And I think with audio, I've also felt similarly. Learning how to use the equipment you have to the best of its ability, I think is really, it's so simple, but it has a huge impact when you really commit to that being a part of the process.
You mentioned something about how the audience responds to the output, be it videos. It made me think about like the comment cycle and engagement cycle and more participation with this other kind of algorithm. But then like book writing has like this more personal decision-making body, industry, whatever we'll call it. That's a lot less responsible or like less responsive. And I'm kind of curious how you feel about the writing industry kind of moving with like the Substack where like you can comment and like and engage and share, and kind of the express evolution from like the blog eras where that was also like very possible. Because I guess they're different parts of the writing industry, and one that you are in all of them. So kind of curious what it's like to navigate that when you sit down to write a piece with intention, like what's going into each different kind of industry.
With writing, the whole Substack and blog experience, I think certain versions of writing are about deciding what your brand is and then trying to write things towards that brand. That sometimes feels like more of the Substack thing to me, depending on how you do it. I think some other people kind of are more creatively driven. You might not hear or see any of their writing for a minute until it comes out and you're like, holy shit, this is epic. No. So I think there's different ways that people approach it with the newsletter writing and those things. It's good for a writer in the sense of like, it can help you stay disciplined. It can help you be consistent. And I feel like that's really important to do in a lot of different ways. And the longer stuff, I don't know. I feel like the writing industry, in order for you to be successful, it's almost like there needs to be something about it that's sexy. Something about that can feel reductive, which sometimes to me isn't that different than like people having to turn themselves into a brand. For me, it's mostly interesting why people approach how they package their writing when they present it to the public, or how they want it to be presented, or where they put it out. Yeah, and I feel like Substack is also interesting because it's like, it's a newsletter, but I almost feel like it's its own social media platform. And then that makes it into a certain kind of like parasocial space, which I find interesting and weird and maybe not all the time great. So maybe some of it is like the relationship that the audience feels like they have with the subject or the creator. That's also a part of it that I find interesting, based on like, you can tweak that in order to be more successful. And sometimes that makes you more genuine and sometimes it makes you less genuine.
Like, a lot of your career is very story-driven and journalistic, and especially how you've carried on that research element and all your other media projects. What is your kind of read on like the journalist or truth-telling or storytelling landscape for creators from labor standpoint and from people consuming? And kind of where do you see yourself in the future?
I think the less sensational the stuff that you are producing is, the more patient you have to be. Take that in a bunch of different ways, however you want. But I feel like that's how I've been trying to work through the things I'm creating, what I'm doing, how and why. Sometimes that can be frustrating, but I think in terms of the landscape, it's interesting just because like the cultural space, the cultural dialogue space, criticism space, political, whatever space, I mean, I think it all is going towards people needing to be their own companies, brands, empires, collectives, because the institutions, the legacy institutions or whatever the fuck you want to call it, are collapsing. And I think that brings with it, like, does that mean there's going to be parts of the industry that are even more hyper individualist? Does it mean that we're going to be toppling each other and trying to, or like, what are the mechanisms or systems we're using to guide the work that we're doing? And I think in the content creation era, since people care less about mainstream news, the way we're processing the world is, of course, through social media. And I find it fascinating when you can either gain success telling the truth and being honest about your perspectives on the world, or being manipulative or spinning a certain narrative so you can fit into a certain niche. And something about that is scary to me when it's like an individual who's kind of controlling their own little empire and not like this corporation. Maybe I just feel like maybe that'll make it more volatile in a certain sense. Maybe people are going to be able to trust media less in a certain way because it's so individual driven, or it's so emotionally driven, as opposed to having, and it's not like I'm for journalistic ethics, but I do think a lot of things are going to get worse because we also have AI. So it's kind of like, what the hell?
Like, one thing almost any movement does is make a newsletter, and like the resurgence and importance of those, where the important newsletters are going to come up for culture. What's going to be around to hit the beat enough that people are interested and able to sustain it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, that's kind of how I view most of the media things I'm doing. I'm like, wherever there's a little bit of success, if I just stay consistent, who the fuck knows where I could be in 3 years? So much is possible if you can kind of get the forward momentum going and stay consistent while you're doing other stuff.
I never thought I would be in media the way I am. And the one thing that I knew from watching media people and hearing from them is that consistency is the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to dial it in, get it done.
Yeah.
You want to be known for that. Rumor has it that you want to write a memoir every 10 years. Is this still true? If not, if so, what has it morphed into? What does that look like to you now, the vivacious, ferocious writer you are? And how are you prepping yourself for those memoirs now that you have one tucked under your belt?
I haven't thought about this in a while, but my rational brain says I started my last book when I was 24, and that would mean I would need to start writing my next one sometime in the next 3 years. Logistically, right now, I'm trying to finish a novel. I'm also working on this collection of essays, which in some ways is already kind of feeling memoiristic, but I also know it's sort of focused on a particular figure or a topic. And so loosely it could be like that could be considered a memoir of sorts. But I also think for me with writing, it's not like I'm like I live for the plot, but I do think it would require me to do some drastic things to shake it up, to give me some things to process. Not like I want to like I don't know walk in front of a bus or something, but I just mean like I've been experiencing life, and of course it's like it's just a matter of how you write it, but I do think experiences of intentional transformation can bring you closer to like making art. I do want to write another book, and I don't think it might be like a memoir in the sense it was before. I think it will be more essays, but I also am really invested in maybe just trying to get more into film as well. But I also don't think I'll ever stop writing, so maybe it will be like, maybe it's two different things next time that are representations of whatever parts of myself I'm trying to work through. It's all an expression of me. Every 10 years, it's just like where the memoir ended, it was barely a couple years ago. So I'm like, damn.
I love that you bring it back to like the ethos of what you were trying to do with that, which was create something that represents you and some sort of cyclical nature. And I feel like whatever writing that comes out to will be enjoyable. Kind of back to the question of like what prep do you do when going back and researching for your first memoir? What self-made primary resources did you find invaluable? Like any of your own journals, your own photos, things like that that might help other people who are trying to engage a project like this, but also yourself now on that you think you might actively do more of now that you know.
Photos mattered a lot to me because sometimes when you're trying to write about the past, it's helpful to have things that you've had that represent the past for a long time. And so it helps you access like a previous yearning that you've had that maybe has never really gone away. I also think since I was writing about men that are gone, it was really helpful. Honestly, I remember at some point I found like a court document from my uncle going to court for like some drug stuff. And then I think it mentioned my dad was there or my other uncle was there in court. And I was like, wow, this is like, I don't know if I'm going to use this in the book, but it helped animate their relationships to each other in ways that I don't think my family was wanting to do. Those things helped a lot. And then, of course, finding my uncle's journal entries that I found from like a journalist, because I think having to engage with that someone has written, it almost gives you a thematic approach to who they are, because suddenly you have something that was made by them that if you analyze it on a literary level, like a poem, every piece of it can give you some kind of clue if you're honest and don't like over romanticize it or whatever, or really essentialize it. And so I found that to be really helpful too. Yeah, and then going back to Jamaica when I did, it was helpful to like go to my grandmother's yard and to kind of remember like what it felt like to sit on the front steps, and to kind of realize like, wow, I was so little when I first got here because these front steps are small. And back then they felt so big. Because even things like that, putting yourself back in a place, I was able to do that a few times. Like there's a bar in the Philippines I got to go back to when I started writing the book, and I went back and I realized it was so much smaller than I imagined. And in my memory, it just maybe felt big because I felt small when I was there.
You mentioned this book of essays that you're working on, the Baldwin essays. What are two major themes or questions that you feel like you're asking?
What do you inevitably lose when you are committed to leaving home in more ways than one throughout your life? And also, what if the love you offer to other people is maybe kind of tied to your own secret cynicism about the world? People aren't good enough. So maybe something that can make life better is if I try to maybe be one of the better people. And how in some ways it's kind of cynical, like unpacking that. I think those are two things that I've been finding so far.
I know you're early in to the process, but I know Baldur's been a subject of your work for a while, and you can never predict these. What are you hoping to be surprised by, either in yourself in this process, or what are you hoping to come by?
Some new central narratives to guide myself with. At my best or at its most cathartic, my writing is there to help me confront some kind of cynicism and put it to rest. And I do think cynicism or certain beliefs are kind of like a weight, and we could be lighter. I want to be lighter, or like less in my head and more in the world. And so if I can carve out these things that are deep in the cracks of my head and put it on a platter, serve it to people and say, what do you think? Maybe then that'll like be like a way of processing it, letting it go, not giving it as much control. I do believe in being a good person and being a part of the world. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I think people can be good. But I also think some of that for me comes from more cynicism. And I think maybe just to put it the most honestly, I want to let some of that go so I can feel lighter in the world.
And again, might be too early to tell, but do you have any conclusions in mind already?
I think the conclusions I can draw now are based on the cynicism I'm trying to crawl my way out of. Because the first thing I thought when you asked that was, well, I guess maybe to have true meaning in life, you do have to suffer. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's another answer in my brain that could also be there. But
what kind of suffer? What agency do we have in our suffering? One thing that was very important to me when I was young was being in charge of my own death. And I still hold that very true. That's the thing I care about.
We don't have to suffer alone. That's one thing I believe, or I think is worth working towards.
And we don't have to suffer without hope. And a lot of your writing and work in creation, you pull out hope from the crevices and cracks of history, as well as things that you have come across throughout your time here on the world. How does hope and hope betrayed and birthed play a role in your life decisions and how you move through the world?
Hope betrayed and birthed. I'm thinking about that one. I think it's important to do things with hope in mind, or to try to do them with hope in mind. Hope to me feels optimistic. Hope feels like a choice. Like any bigger trip I've gone on that I feel like fed me or opened me up in some way, I usually went with a lot of hope about certain experiences or versions of myself I wanted to experience. And I do think it's important to honor that part of ourselves, meaning like our lives can be the most fucked up thing, but where we find a way to be honest with ourselves or gather some of the tools to get there, we can imagine something that would be better. Even if it's like a feeling you want to have or a moment you want to have or something that you'd love to experience. And I think that's something that helps me on a personal level a lot. Politically, hope with other people to me is really important. What are the experiences where you can feel that? Also, I think writing for me is a way of trying to navigate and name those experiences so I don't forget them. Like, I'm sure there's things I've maybe written about in my first book or other essays or I'm going to write soon where maybe in 4 years after I write it, I'll have fucking forgot how meaningful it was. And it's not like I want to remember everything that ever meant something to me, but it's kind of like, oh, it's nice that I get to revisit it again or remember that it did mean something. Like it wasn't just forgotten. And so I feel like all of those things are really important. And then maybe like being a good person, trying to listen to people, trying to process some of your own shit enough to be there for people. It's kind of like you're trying to offer other people hope in its best way. Being a good person, that's what it can offer to other people. Yeah. So hope in all directions, baby. For yourself, towards other people, to the past, to the future.
How do you approach discipline? And I want you to answer as if you're teaching it and some of the basic concepts that you think are important when thinking and talking about discipline.
I think of just like a few core things that guide me. First, it's important to know why you're doing it and not like a I'm doing it for this or I'm doing it for that. Is it a specific goal? Is it a feeling? Is it a version of yourself you're trying to become? Is it because you admire someone who has done that same thing? Identifying some kind of internal goal for this thing you're going to spend a lot of time doing is important, because I think that internal goal, when it's just yours and you've have it clear, it does kind of sit in the back of your head when you're working on something and it's taking a lot of time. That was something that helped me a lot when I was younger. That's helpful because if you have that, whether or not you say it to people, especially if you don't tell other people what it is, who can fucking take it from you? You're the only one that can take it from yourself, because either you lose hope in that thing or that vision, or something in the world crushes you and you just lose belief in it. And that's totally plausible too. So I think, one, it's like, what's igniting you and driving you there? What version of yourself are you trying to become? Even if it's a small thing, I think that fuels the being consistent, showing up to do it, finding it becoming cathartic almost. I think that's something to kind of like push towards, like where the modes of behavior or thoughts or beliefs or kind of thought loops that you can offer yourself that begin to make the work cathartic as well as discipline oriented. And from there, maybe it's also like taste as well. Like, are you consuming enough of something to have a frame of reference that informs your taste and that is also a part of what you're reaching towards, aside from the version of yourself that you want to be in your head? All of that, I think, leads to having enough discipline to both do the work and to be able to guesstimate what the quality of the piece or whatever you're making is going to be. And I think discipline is a big part of getting there, being able to have some of that precision. Those are the things that kind of go into discipline for me.
When you join an organizing space, a movement, something like that, whether voluntarily, haphazardly, circumstance-wise, just the moment, are there functions, structures, or dynamics that you're looking for?
I like a space where people can laugh with each other in some way. Like, it's not all like, what's the agenda? Like, oh my God, I just kind of pooped myself because like that was just so abrupt. So I think when people can kind of laugh, have a sense of humor. I also think spaces where I can see people being in a lot of dialogue with each other, and it's like very common for people to like talk through things, and not even stuff just related to the work, but just like how you approach the world. And meaning like there's a space of socializing that's welcomed and kind of open or crafted. It doesn't need to be a really strict set of values, but I do think having a few central values that kind of help me understand, like, okay, these people are kind of anti-authoritarian, or they're dedicated to like queerness, or they're really anti-capitalism. It depends on what kind of structure I'm going into, because I think I'm listing things that like I look for in like an organization or like a political space. And then I think with like a campaign, if it has a clear structural analysis and I feel like the power mapping makes sense to me, that's something where I'm always like, hey, I mean, it makes sense. Why not? And sometimes like people lie about the power mapping or the tactics change, and then you're like, oh fuck, they kind of tricked me into this. But sometimes even if the situation is dookie, you might be going in there with some homies and you're like, hey, we'll figure this shit out. And so that's not the best way to do it, but hey, it happens.
So speaking of which, how do you move through a space that doesn't have what you expect or want?
My pattern recognition brain comes on. I try to clock who is also noticing patterns, who maybe is noticing things, whether through micro expressions or I notice people are talking to them a certain way. And then you try to find some allegiance. You try to find some understanding of where each other's coming from. Like, I think you're sensing something. Am I sensing the same thing, or is it sensing something different? Try to find some comrades in the struggle. I feel like sometimes it's like, is whatever is weird or not good being directed at you or someone else? If it's being directed at me, like pattern recognition is also useful. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why am I feeling discomfort? Like, paying attention to myself. And sometimes that's where it's helpful to like see if other people can sense things too.
Yeah.
And then I think from there, it's like, once you notice the pattern, it's kind of like, am I trying to change what this is in the structure to make it better? Am I trying to speak truth to this? Or am I trying to burn the shit down while I'm on my way out? Because fuck this. They don't cross one too many lines. Or it might be a few other options as well, but those are usually my three main considerations. And depending on how you want to go, that's what you got to decide. And all are effective and cathartic in different ways.
How do you feel the Dugout has succeeded in staying in the Black media sphere, or the anarchist sphere, the Black radical media sphere? Where the fuck, what are we? I mean, on another topic, kind of, is like analyzing your own YouTube channel through that same lens.
I think in the Black media space, I mean, I think the fact that we're both gay and different levels of queer and then gender stuff, it's like, I don't know, I feel like on some level, it kind of puts us more in like a conspiratorial space. Like people are like, who are these weird ass people? Like, which kind of like muddies the waters, you know what I mean? I think we're doing something, meaning like consistency, how we're interviewing people, like all of that. I'm really proud of it, and I believe it's providing something that is making Black anarchism or these different ideas that are a part of it more legible, having it be something where it's like, we're not saying this is all it is. It's just like, this is our iteration and expression of it. That to me feels very clear. And it's also interesting because it's becoming like a general kind of anarchist resource. Like, yeah, it's a Black anarchist podcast, and that's something we're intentional about in so many ways. Depending on the events I go to, the white people, they're just like, I don't know anything about anarchism, but I started learning about it partially through the podcast. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, there's something maybe compelling to different kinds of people. And that to me makes me really proud of what Black anarchism means, is able to do, how much it encompasses, and what it allows us to kind of move through. And then what were some of the other, you says, like, what's the space it's in? And
I think it's interesting that you can compare how where we sit. Also, we're a lot younger than your channel, and like the different connections, or we can't really see on our YouTube yet what people are watching around our.
In the Black media space, I hope we're considered some of those weirdos. People are like, oh, let me talk about some weird shit. I will always be proud of that. One function I want to have is to be Black people that are able to have conversations and to engage with people that think about, understand, and have militant or political violence be a part of like their paradigm or framework or theory of change in terms of like self-defense or anti-fascism or whatever it may mean. We just need to have spaces to talk about that more. What frustrates me is that there aren't many spaces that are consistent, that I feel I get a chance to hear that from mainly Black hosts, or I don't know. And it's not, I don't really listen to a bunch or much of everything, but I do think that's something that I think and hope people can find legible in what we're offering. And that feels important. And then I think with my YouTube channel, I'm also just like trying to learn and understand as much as I can. And I feel like I'm at a place where I'm finding a certain style and approach. In some ways, I'm viewing it as like, what is my version of this big, beautiful Black radical archive in the YouTube space? And how can I talk about things that I'm just like, oh, why isn't there more people talk about this way? Or especially like direct action stuff. Like I'm just like, it's not like people need a how-to, but I'm like, there should be educational stuff that is really grounded in the experience of being a grassroots organizer and navigating different levels of organizing and how necessary it is for sometimes for it to feel like a conversation. That's where I hope the educational part of it lands. I think I'm really also invested in just continuing to develop my media literacy and literary analysis. And I think the more cultural analysis and film stuff is a part of that for me too. I don't know. I mean, I want to get to 100K. I want to host my own talk show. I want to do it all. There's many different ways to get there.
What does being revolutionary mean to you? And how does it influence your planning for the future?
I think I'm still trying to figure out what being a revolutionary means to me. But I think in the least it means never getting rid of what the most necessary or justified reaction to the violences that we're facing on a systemic level is. Like never just saying, that's totally out of the option. And I think it just means as far as self-defense needs to go, I believe we should never tell ourselves it doesn't need to go there. And I think that's a part of what I read and understand and know about Black history and queer history and Indigenous history and so many histories that have faced colonization. And so I think I'm trying to honor what that looks like in my life in different ways. And I mean, I can think I've kind of said it, just how can I be more of a weapon in different ways, be sharp, be precise, and also strategic. And I think that looks like a lot of different things, but that's something I've been thinking about a lot. In other ways, I think it's a commitment to being human and trying to be honest about the systems that try to tell us or guide us into not being human. And I think that involves like systems that encourage us to be individualistic or to not care about other people or to see other people as the enemy. And so that feels really important. And in the future, I think it will look like more experiences and chapters of extreme commitment. And that's all I'll say on this platform. But yeah, I think that's what I've learned in the past. And yeah, that's really what I expect out of the future, especially the future we're seeing. Like, what the hell?
Speaking of more you can't say too much of on this platform, you mentioned in your prophetic Trump 2.0 and the pitfalls of left accelerationism episode that we need to redefine, quote, rising up. What does that mean to you right now?
I really like, what context did I say that in?
I have context. So I just want to shorten the question, but you said that in the context of mass mobilization being America's bread and butter, and it especially made me think about how nonviolent direct action strategies have interrupted revolutionary strategic thinking and knowledge sharing, and how we've had this conversation.
Okay, yeah.
Learning communities, how it feels a bit stagnant, teaching same frameworks.
Yeah, I think hypothetically what that could mean is there's a lot of infrastructure that is already here or is going to continue to be built, especially related to war and technology. There's been a lot of repression that different movements have been facing, and we see that in different ways in terms of what's happening now. I think how we deal with repression and paranoia, that's going to be really a fucking part of rising up when our habeas corpus is going away and due process is gone. And I think that feels very central to me, like the inevitability of more and more people being criminalized. And so I think it looks like that people got to get out. How people go get out? Or you get in or get out. I mean, I think that'll be a part of it. We will have to be willing to let go of more of the things that we think are what normal life is. Let go of luxuries or be more committed in a way that makes our life look different. Because I also think the material conditions of what we're going to be offered are just going to worsen and worsen. So it's like, not only is what the state's going to be offering and executing is going to be more intense in certain ways, but I think as we lose more, that's going to make more commitment possible, and who we become along the way, that feels important for me. Those are the different kind of things that I think about. And I also think rising up in terms of optics, no. Rising up in terms of skills, resources, power mapping, the state, that feels important.
What questions do you want answered before you pass?
Is it bad to love something so much that you never let go? Is that always a violence? Is it always bad? Is it always obsessive? What kind of dad would I be?
I know you don't think of retirement in the traditional ways, but
What is this interview? I'm joking. I'm like, is a life insurance ad about to come out?
brought to you by AARP. Oh my god, by the way, you don't have to be old to get AARP. You can get those deals.
No, I know, yeah. Whole life. Whole life.
And then you don't think of a traditional retirement for your future. But what does your vision for your late years look like materially? Will you write till you die? Do you see yourself as a settling down type of gal?
Oh, I like this because I can go back when I'm 80 and be like, what the hell? Like, he got it all wrong, or he got it all right. I hope to be able to keep writing, and maybe by the time I'm old and have carpal tunnel arthritis, they have like bionic gloves that you can put on, and you're like, bam, 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 you can keep typing, or maybe like typing won't even exist in the future. But I do think, I don't know. I'm very curious what kind of writing my mind could produce if I give it another 60 years. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. And it also feels like it's both a lot of time and not enough. So there's that.
Prince in 2085, y'all watch out.
Like, yeah. Wow. 2085. And then I think, with other things. I mean, I think there's so many other art forms. There's a version of myself in my head that I could see doing that art form in my life, and I'd love to get there. And there's some of that with film. There's some of that with like visual art. Yeah, and materially, I'd love to have a house in the middle of nowhere that no one else knows about. I'd love to maybe have run like some renowned artist residency where I found the next fucking Picasso or whatever. I don't know. Oh yeah, I'd love to make an album. I don't know. Throw that in there somewhere down the line, like big bada boom bop bop. A jazz album, yeah, like jazz. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I played the trumpet. Yeah, I mean, materially, I'm just like, I want to be traveling, drinking my little wine in different places. I got my little friends in different pockets. They're like, oh, you're coming through town? Like, you could stay at the guest. Or maybe, I don't know, I guess, why am I thinking of all this opulence? I just want to, like, I don't know, I wouldn't be adored to the point where I can just go into different corners of the world and people just want to take care of me. And I'm like, home cooked food. I don't know. Like, the world is my home. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, that's what I kind of imagine.
Not what a metropolitan. You're metrosexual.
Metrosexual, yeah. A metrosexual about metropolitan. Yeah, metropolitan. Yeah, like maybe or what do they call
it? The world.
Or what do they call it? Like the rich people that come into town and they're not debutantes, but what do they call them? It's like quick lick, not bohemian. I can't remember, but there's like a name for like rich people that sweeping through town and then they're off to another country. Or I can't remember it, like an heiress or I don't know. But yeah, I want like social opulence in my future. And not meaning like I want to be with the elite people, but I want a rich social community life that is in different places and is involved in different things. Like I feel like if I had that when I'm older, that's a version of love. And then like, I don't know, maybe I have one or two annoying kids but they love me and I love them. And they're like, you traumatized me in this way. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I tried to work through it and it's okay. And maybe it is. At least one long-term lover, but if it's 3 or more, why not?
Woo! You heard it here. Applications are accepted. And the Instagram DMs are open. Well, speaking of things to make it happen, what social, political, or economic infrastructure do you feel like you need to see to make that happen? Or is around you in that moment?
I think that's something I'm rethinking through right now. And some of that is maybe some of the transitions I'm in my life. I would love to get to a point where I could offer resources to other people through the work that I'm doing and kind of the skill sharing that I'm offering. Like, I think being an educator and offering educational space feels really important and something I want to continue to tap into. And then I think just being more measured and starting something that's mutual aid oriented, or I don't know, those are some things that I've been thinking about with some of the organizing that I'm doing in the city. And it's something that we've kind of been talking about, but just navigating what anti-fascism in this moment means or looks like, or developing like a framework around that and space for people to gather and to talk about and to think about and to name that together and do more of that work in a way that feels clear material and less maybe decentralized. Or like, you know, throw in whatever verb there you want. But
True, because that's it, everyone. Decentralizing is a verb, not always an adjective.
Mm-hmm. So I think those are things that are on my brain.
Okay, now let's close this off into a goofier section. If you could go into the future or back in time, one time, can't come back, where would you go and why?
Like, I have to uproot my life as it is right now and then go into this other time period?
Yeah, and it can't be within, like, a year from now.
Oh my God.
You know, it's got to be at least, like, a decade or two.
Such an illuminating question, because it's like, depending on where I'd go, it's like, oh, you're really going to self-preserve, or it's like, oh, you're really going to fight the struggle. But I guess I'm just thinking of when I saw Marvel Avengers Civil War, I thought they were going to go back and help us in the Civil War. But it wasn't about that.
And you can't go back in time to a time period where you were alive.
So if I were to go into the future, then I'm just in a future that I don't understand and could be way fucking worse than now. And I don't have as much of the knowledge as people there. I'm like, how is that helpful? Like, it just sounds kind of horrible.
Yeah,
Then
it's
it's
gotta
like,
be at
then
least 30 years.
yeah, then it's like after I'm dead. So it's like, what the
But you're gonna disappear from now.
go on the internet and look myself up, and they'll be like,
You disappear.
artist disappeared. I'm like, oh my God. And then I'll get to see everyone who grieved me. That's dark as
But
fuck.
you could come back ASAP 30
But if I have to
later.
go back, then I'm like, I mean, I guess the 80s. Honestly, the 80s would be fun. The 70s, 60s, oh, there's a lot of stuff that happened that was traumatizing. And then I've been going further back, being black. I don't know. This is hard. If I go back to the 80s, how old I am now, then it's like I would be 60 by the time
You're
like
born.
2000 is happening.
Okay.
But then it's like if I disappear from my reality, am I going to be born in the past?
Yes, everything's gonna happen. If you go back, then it's gonna be like you were always
So
there.
theoretically, then I could go back into the past, stop myself from being born, and I disappear.
No. Whatever you do is fated to have already had happen. You don't remember meeting yourself now because you didn't do it. You don't remember meeting.
So when I jump
Stop.
into this different time, my memory's wiped?
No, you come back when you were younger. You never met you from the future.
Oh, okay. No, I see what you're saying. So,
Nothing's gonna
can I
change.
stop myself from being born?
You can try, but it didn't work because you're still there.
Oh, so whatever has happened in my life will always have happened. And I
So you were
stop
always
things that preceded
in your
me.
past.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's just honestly, these are all the questions that come up. It's not like I'm going to stop myself from being born. I mean, I don't know.
No, I love this. I love fleshing out the rules of it. It's like playing a tabletop role.
I don't know, but it's like then I have to live through the 80s and the AIDS crisis, and I'm gay. And then the 90s, and I'm black. Rodney King, hip hop. I don't know. There's so many things.
Hip hop? Yeah. Wait. Actually, let's go back. I could put Tupac.
I don't know. I mean, I guess like the Harlem Renaissance would have been cool, but I'm like the racism back then. It's just wild. So I don't know. I mean, but the Great Depression while I'm black. So
You're gonna lose your hand.
well, I don't know. I guess I would say honestly, I might go back to the 80s. I'd go back to the 80s because it has been a decade that's fascinated me. I have been writing about it, and I find like the culture of the 80s wild, interesting, different like pop culture explosions. And the 80s was also pretty gay. Gay culture was also intense, but the kind of tribalism of it all like operated a bit differently, and I find it fascinating. I don't know, but then it's like if I go to the future, then like I don't know, maybe there's better food.
Oh, there might be better food in the past too.
The future, it's like, do I go back to a past that I perceivably know? But then I can go back to the past and kind of hack it. Like, what if I end up working for Apple? I don't know. Honestly, going back to the past and then being able to set certain conditions up differently. I don't know. But then I'm like,
Who knows? Maybe you were your secret benefactor. All of the good luck that you've had, or some of the good luck that you've had in your life up until you disappeared, were because of old you setting you up for success.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, you went through this.
This like I set a trust fund up for my current self when I'm 60 in my first life timeline, but I never really get. But actually, okay, the 80s, it's like, oh, 80s, yeah. But honestly, if I'm going back for the struggle, I'm going back to the 60s. I'm going back to the 60s. Britt and Brack, we're fighting on the bridge. Bam, bam, bam. We're good now. We're good now. Was I part of Birmingham Children's Crusade? Maybe. If I'm going back for the struggle. But then it's like, do I want to go back for the struggle and knowing what happens now? Because I'm proud of us. I'm proud of what we've done as a people. So I don't know. I guess the 80s.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. That was
What's
beautiful.
your answer to this question?
It used to be Iron Age West Africa
Oh.
because they developed iron really quickly and quality of life.
So you would be fine without cell phones?
Yeah. But
Huh?
now with like the option to go back in the future in this question, I would go into the future. Probably go like 75 years into the future.
But climate change, like what about?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh, like what's going? Because like, but you'd rather live
Or
there.
maybe I go 150 years into the future. But I'm too scared I won't recognize anything. I'll be overwhelmed.
Like, what if you zoomed forward and you're like, it's all desert? Because then there was like, so there was 3 nuclear whatevers. You know what I mean? Like, who the hell knows?
I just plop into like a ball of steel into a giant data center that is Ohio.
Hell yeah. Everyone's chilling in Mars. Damn, they got rid of all the trees.
Earth is a data center. We all live in satellite.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And
That would be
virtual reality.
yeah. This is a good ass question though. I might keep asking it to people because yeah, it's a lot to think about.
I like it.
Especially depending on who you are. I'm like, ask anybody white, going back in the past.
They're like, I gotta roam. Yes, sir.
Yeah, watch you get thrown somewhere where it wasn't so easy for y'all. And there's a lot of history that worth like that.
Last question. You are planning a bank heist with you, any celebrity that you know is at your beck and call, dead or alive, and any fictional character. You have to fill the roles of brute, safecracker, driver, cat burglar, smooth operator, and hacker.
Hacker, I would pick Wade from Kim Possible. Getaway driver, I would probably choose Lindsay Lohan and Herbie Fully Loaded. Because that car is really good at what it got to do. So Herbie/Lindsay Lohan and Herbie Fully Loaded. Safecracker, Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible. I guess I'm not even really thinking of like historical figures or whatever. For the cat burglar, Houdini. And then the brute, I'd probably choose... You said fictional character? What's the good?
I'd be pulling out someone from an anime. I'd be like, Goku.
Yeah, because I was really just thinking, I'm like, give me all kinds of people. I mean, I guess I just choose the Hulk. Just smash through shit, get you out, get you in. And then what are the other ones?
The last one's a smooth operator. Or when he talks their way past human obstacles. I mean, that's left for you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I see it. Boom. There goes
Herbie from Herbie.
There goes the graphic for this episode.
Yeah, okay, those are some very gay answers, but I love it. Dun 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 dun. Is that someone she used the date? That was a song on the Herbie Fully Loaded soundtrack. I used to love that. Was on my first iPod.
Beautiful. I remember when I first got my MP3 player, my mom was like, "Hey, this is also an MP4 player."
No.
And it could play videos.
Oh.
And it had like this one video of like an ad for like an F1 car.
There were kids in my high school that had porn on their iPods. It's just like, oh my God, you're playing this in school? Whoa, disturbing.
Within our society, it happens. Thank you so much for being on the show, Prince. Any last thoughts?
I'm ready for a toaster strudel. If you want one too.
I would love a toaster strudel.
But
at home to eat a toaster strudel as well.
Yeah, I'd say to everyone listening, make art, live your life, go outside, feel the sun on your face. This is a cool experience. TTYL.
Till the next episode, and then till next year on the Dugout.
Yeah, you could call this podcast a tool for learning, but if you want to take it further, join us on our Patreon. By supporting us, you'll gain access to exclusive reading episodes where we unpack key texts and ideas, plus early access to interviews with inspiring thinkers. Your contribution helps us make these resources more accessible and impactful. Visit the patreon.com/thedugoutpod to support this work. Now get back into it.